Dear friend, have you ever felt like your body was sending you strange signals? A bit of unusual fatigue, a mild pain somewhere that disappears, or sometimes a racing heartbeat after a long, stressful day? Have you ever reassured yourself it's probably just age catching up with me? I've met hundreds, even thousands of patients who began their stories this way. And sadly, many only came to the hospital when those small signs turned into three terrifying names: diabetes, cancer, or a sudden stroke that changed their lives forever. Over the past 30 years working in emergency rooms, cancer clinics, and cardiac ICUs, I've realized one thing: these three diseases seem to be linked by an invisible thread. Once you have one, the risk of the other two skyrockets. And the most important thing, many times we can actually prevent them. Stories I will never forget. I want you to picture this. One morning a few years ago, a man named Robert, 58, walked into my clinic looking fairly healthy. He just wanted a routine checkup. Robert smiled and said, "Doctor, I feel fine. Just a little tired climbing the stairs lately." That day's tests left both of us speechless. His blood sugar was abnormally high, his blood pressure elevated, and a heart ultrasound showed early atherosclerosis. Robert was standing at the doorstep of all three: diabetes, heart disease, and a heightened risk of colon cancer due to family history. He looked at me confused and asked, "Doctor, why is it all happening at once?" I had to explain to Robert that our body is an interconnected system. What happens in the blood vessels affects the heart, the brain. High blood sugar doesn't just damage the kidneys and eyes, it fuels silent inflammation, the fertile ground for cancer cells to grow. And here's the sad truth: most of what led to Robert's condition didn't happen overnight. It accumulated through every sugary meal, every sedentary day, every sleepless night, every ignored moment of stress, while his body was silently crying for help. Questions I want you to ask yourself. Have you ever skipped a health check because you felt fine? Have you ever dismissed a fleeting headache or a rapid heartbeat? Have you ever told yourself it's okay, one more sweet treat won't hurt? I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to share that these small things over time can lead to the three most dangerous diseases of our era. Hashimoto's, diabetes, the silent killer with complications in the eyes, kidneys, and heart. Cancer, taking millions of lives each year, many types directly linked to diet and lifestyle. Heart disease and stroke, the leading cause of death worldwide, often striking within minutes. And you know what's even worse? They rarely come alone. They're like three bad friends showing up at your door together. The science and my real-world experience. Modern medical research has shown diabetics are 2 to 4 times more likely to have strokes and heart disease. Chronic inflammation in diabetes also increases the risk of several cancers, especially liver, pancreatic, and colon cancer. Atherosclerosis. The main cause of stroke and heart attack progresses faster in people with high blood sugar and unhealthy diets. I remember a patient, Linda, 62. She came to the hospital after a minor stroke. Further tests revealed prediabetes and an early-stage pancreatic tumor. Linda cried and told me, "I wish I had come in sooner." But you know what? Linda changed her life. After surgery, she started light exercise, ate healthier, and kept her blood sugar under control. 5 years later, she returned to see me with a big smile, saying she was living a whole new life. My message to you, dear friend, I know that at 50 or 60, we start thinking more about health, about life's meaning, about time with our children and grandchildren. I've witnessed both tears and smiles in my hospital rooms, and I've learned that we can't turn back time, but we can start today to rewrite our health story. The human body has an incredible ability to heal if we give it the chance. Eating better, moving more, getting regular checkups, managing stress. These simple things can save us from the three deadliest diseases of our time. In today's video, we'll dive into what are we under the close connection between diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. The real dangers of each through the lens of science and my 30-plus years of experience. Most importantly, practical, simple solutions to prevent all three, starting in your kitchen, your dining table, and your daily habits. Because health isn't just about medicine. It's the story of your life, your family, and the people you love. Are you ready to take the next step with me? The invisible thread. 3 diseases, 1 common root. When 3 bad friends knock at your door. Dear friend, I want to tell you a story I will never forget. About 10 years ago, there was a patient named David, a 60-year-old carpenter from Texas. He came to my hospital after a mild stroke. Before that, David had lived a simple life, worked hard, and ate the typical American diet: barbecue, French fries, and very few vegetables. When we ran full tests, we discovered that besides the blocked artery causing his stroke, David also had very high blood sugar, and worse yet, a CT scan revealed a small tumor in his liver, suspected early-stage cancer. I still remember David's shocked expression when I explained, "David, you didn't just have a stroke, you're also pre-diabetic and we suspect a liver tumor. We need more tests." He sat in silence for a few minutes and then asked, "Doctor, why is everything happening all at once? I thought stroke was about the heart. What do diabetes and cancer have to do with this?" David's question is the same question millions of people have, and maybe it's the same one you're asking yourself right now. The surprising truth, they're not separate enemies. In medicine, we once thought diabetes, cancer, and heart disease were three completely different areas. Heart disease and stroke involving blood vessels, the heart blood pressure. Diabetes involving insulin, the pancreas sugar metabolism. Cancer involving abnormal cell growth genetics mutations. But research over the past 20 years has shown a very different picture. Diabetics have 2 to 4 times higher risk of stroke. Diabetes increases the risk of liver, pancreatic, colon, and breast cancers by 20–40%. Chronic stroke and heart attack survivors often have metabolic disorders, the foundation for diabetes. And chronic inflammation, common in both diabetes and heart disease, is the perfect breeding ground for cancer cells. So they're not separate at all. They're connected by invisible threads in our body blood vessels, hormones, inflammation, and our lifestyle. The common root: chronic inflammation and metabolic syndrome. I want you to imagine your body as a garden. Blood is the streams flowing through it. Cells are the trees and flowers. Hormones like insulin are the gardeners silently coordinating everything. Now imagine one day the gardener insulin gets tired working less effectively. That's type 2 diabetes, when the body becomes insulin resistant. Excess sugar in the blood is like garbage clogging the streams, destroying the soil, making plants wither. Meanwhile, chronic inflammation, the slow fire in the body, starts burning. Not strong enough for you to feel immediately, but long enough to damage tissues, blood vessels, and even DNA. In the heart disease, inflammation injures vessel walls, causing atherosclerosis, leading to heart attacks and strokes. In diabetes, it disrupts metabolism, weakens insulin action, raises blood sugar. In cancer, it creates the perfect environment for mutated cells to grow uncontrollably. One fire, 3 consequences. The second story: the woman who ignored warning signs. Another patient of mine, Susan, 55, came in for mild numbness in her left hand and brief blurry vision. She thought it was just work stress. Tests revealed she had cholesterol, high blood sugar, elevated bad cholesterol, LDL, and a transient ischemic attack, TIA, a warning sign for stroke. While performing an abdominal ultrasound, the radiologist found a small uterine tumor. Thankfully, it was benign, but Susan was shocked. She asked me, "Did all this start because of my diet and lifestyle?" I had to nod. Because the truth is, over 70% of risk factors for these 3 diseases come from daily habits. Sugary, high-fat foods, lack of exercise, chronic stress, poor sleep, smoking, alcohol. Science calls this metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions like belly fat, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol, opening the door to diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. When genetics meet modern lifestyle, some people tell me, "Dr. Cancer runs in my family." Maybe it's just fate. But you know what? Genetics load the gun. Lifestyle pulls the trigger. For example, people with BRCA1 or BRCA2 genes have higher breast cancer risk, but with healthy diet, exercise, and regular screening, risk can be significantly reduced. Similarly, some people have genes for type 2 diabetes, but live their whole life disease-free by losing weight and exercising. Research shows 70–80% of heart disease can be prevented by lifestyle changes. For cancer, about 40%. We can't choose our genes, but we can choose how we live. Another way to see it, the body is a symphony. I often compare the human body to a symphony orchestra. The heart is the drums. Blood vessels are the strings. Hormones like insulin are the conductors. Cells are the individual instruments. When everything works in harmony, the music called health plays beautifully. But when insulin loses rhythm, blood sugar rises, arteries harden, inflammation blares like off-key horns, the music turns chaotic. And the result, 3 bad notes called diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. What science says about this connection? Large studies have confirmed the links among the 3 diseases. The EPIC study in Europe, with over 500,000 participants, found diabetes doubles pancreatic cancer risk and raises liver cancer risk by 2.5 times. The American Heart Association, AH, reports 68% of diabetics over 65 die of heart disease, 16% from stroke. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates 80% of early heart disease cases can be prevented with proper blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure control. These numbers aren't just statistics, they're reminders that we can change our health future. You see, diabetes, cancer, and heart disease aren't separate enemies. They're three branches of the same tree with roots in chronic inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, and modern lifestyle. If we cut one branch, the others will still grow. But if we heal the roots by changing lifestyle, eating healthier, exercising, reducing stress, we can make the whole disease tree wither. In the next part, we'll explore how dangerous each disease truly is and why they can all be prevented if we start today. The danger level of 3 diseases. The truths we cannot ignore. Why must we face this reality? Dear friend, many people tell me, "Doctor, I'm afraid to even hear words like cancer, diabetes, or stroke. They're terrifying." I understand. Just hearing about these diseases sends shivers down anyone's spine. But I believe fear doesn't keep us safe, only knowledge does. Because illness doesn't care whether we're afraid or not. It only cares whether we act in time. Today, I want us to look straight at the truth. Sir mine, why is diabetes called the silent killer? Why does cancer remain humanity's greatest fear? Sovereign, why can stroke steal a life in just a few short minutes? But I promise you we won't stop at fear. We'll learn to read our body's signals so no one ever has to say, "if only," when it's too late. First, diabetes, the silent killer. Let me tell you about a patient named Michael, 63 years old. He came in for foot numbness and blurry vision. Before that, he never thought he had anything serious. Tests revealed his blood sugar was very high. Michael had type 2 diabetes for years without knowing. And during that time, the disease silently damaged his body. His eyes developed diabetic retinopathy with a high risk of blindness. His kidneys were starting to fail. His leg arteries were narrowing, risking amputation if his blood sugar wasn't controlled. Michael looked at me and said, "Doctor, I never felt any real pain. How did it get this bad?" That's what makes diabetes so dangerous. It's not loud. It's not immediately painful. But day by day, it silently destroys blood vessels, nerves, eyes, kidneys, even the heart. The World Health Organization calls diabetes the silent epidemic. Today, over 463 million people live with it worldwide, projected to reach 700 million by 2045. Diabetes isn't just about blood sugar. It's the gateway to devastating complications. Heart attacks and strokes. Kidney failure requiring lifelong dialysis. Blindness and amputations. And even worse, studies show diabetes raises the risk of several cancers because high blood sugar and chronic inflammation create the perfect breeding ground for cancer cells. Second, cancer. When cells turn against the body. I remember a patient named Linda, 59 years old. She came in with fatigue, weight loss, and mild abdominal pain. She thought it was just digestive issues, but tests revealed stage 2 colon cancer. Linda cried and asked, "Why me? I don't smoke or drink much." I had to explain that cancer doesn't discriminate. It comes when cells in the body once meant to protect us or start growing out of control. What's important is, many cancers, colon, breast, liver, pancreatic, are strongly linked to diet, lifestyle, and chronic inflammation, common in people with diabetes and heart disease. Colon cancer risk, for example, is higher in people eating lots of red meat, low fiber, few vegetables, the same diet, increasing diabetes and artery disease risks. The World Health Organization reports over 10 million cancer deaths each year. But here's the good news, 40% of cancers can be prevented through lifestyle changes. Healthy diet. Cannot exercise. No smoking, limited alcohol. Regular health checkups. And if detected early, many cancers can be completely cured. Third, heart disease and stroke, the midnight thief. There was a patient named Thomas, 67 years old. He was a former firefighter, very healthy. But one evening after dinner, he suddenly had slurred speech and numbness on one side. His family rushed him to the hospital and we diagnosed a stroke. Thankfully, quick treatment helped him recover most functions. But many others aren't so lucky. Stroke can steal speech, mobility, even life in minutes. The American Heart Association reports, cardiovascular disease is the world's leading killer, claiming 18 million lives annually. Stroke accounts for nearly 1/3. The scary part, 68% of diabetics over 65 die from heart disease. Stroke survivors are 5 times more likely to have another if lifestyle doesn't change. And like diabetes, heart disease often develops silently. Arteries harden slowly over years, and by the time severe blockage appears, it's too late. Fourth, when all three strike together. Dear friend, what worries me most is when these three diseases overlap. I've had patients with more to 10 years of diabetes, to stage number 2 colon cancer, mild stroke just months earlier. Treatment becomes extremely complicated. Diabetes drugs affect the liver already strained by chemotherapy. Surgery, blood thinners for the heart increase bleeding risk during cancer surgery. It's like 3 fires in one house. Put one out, the others flare up. That's why doctors like me keep emphasizing prevention beats late treatment every time. You see, diabetes, cancer, and heart disease each can change a life forever. But when combined risks multiply and quality of life drops dramatically, the good news, we can prevent all three at once. Form. The key lies in diet, lifestyle, and regular health checkups. In the next part, we'll explore the link between lifestyle and these diseases. Practical, simple solutions you can start today. Diet, lifestyle, and prevention solutions. From the dining table to daily life. Health doesn't start in the hospital. It starts at the dining table. Dear friend, after over 30 years as a doctor, I've realized one thing: health doesn't begin in the hospital. It begins in the kitchen, at the dining table, and in every small habit each day. Many patients ask me, "Doctor, is there a medicine that can prevent diabetes, cancer, and stroke all at once?" I usually smile and reply, "Yes, it's called a healthy lifestyle, and it's free." It sounds simple, but this is the greatest secret in modern medicine. 70% of the risk for all three diseases comes from how we live and what we eat. A patient who made me think deeply. I remember a patient named Maria, 61, who came in with slightly high blood sugar, mildly elevated blood pressure, and high cholesterol. She was a retired teacher who loved cooking. When I advised her to change her diet, Maria said, "Doctor, I've eaten like this my whole life. What's wrong with it?" But when we looked closely, her breakfast was usually pastries and sweet coffee. Lunch might be a sandwich with few vegetables. Dinner often included lots of red meat, white rice, and few fruits or vegetables. Those meals seem harmless, but over time they silently raise blood sugar, cholesterol, and inflammation, the perfect ground for diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. After counseling, Maria began eating more vegetables, fish, whole grains, cutting down on sugar and processed foods. 3 months later, her test results improved significantly. She told me, "Doctor, I wish I had known this sooner." Food, the source of both health and disease. Science calls today's sugar-rich processed food diet the Western diet. It's linked to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, atherosclerosis, cancers like colon, pancreatic, liver, breast. On the other hand, large studies like PREDIND in Spain show the Mediterranean diet, rich in vegetables, fruits, fish, olive oil, nuts, cuts, heart disease risk by 30% and significantly improves blood sugar. The food we eat daily doesn't just fuel us, it can heal or harm. Refined sugar spikes insulin, causes insulin resistance, drives inflammation. Trans and saturated fats raise bad cholesterol, clog arteries, increase heart disease risk. Nani, red and processed meats linked to colon cancer. Vegetables, fruits, nuts, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant-rich, protect cells. Each meal is like a pill. The difference is you're the one writing the prescription. Lifestyle, your best friend or silent enemy. It's not just diet, lifestyle shapes health too. 1. Sedentary living, the fastest road to disease. Studies show sitting over 6 to 8 hours daily raises risk for diabetes, heart disease, even cancer. I recall a patient, George, 65, an accountant. He sat at a desk for 30 years. By retirement, he had diabetes, high blood pressure, and a mild heart attack. A cardiologist told him something I'll never forget. The human body was made to move. Sit too long and it self-destructs. Just 30 minutes of walking daily cuts heart and diabetes risk by 30–40%. 2. Stress, the invisible fire inside. Stress raises cortisol, increasing blood sugar, blood pressure, weakening immunity, the root of all three diseases. I once treated a businesswoman, 58, successful but stressed. She had diabetes, high blood pressure, and a small thyroid tumor. When she learned meditation, deep breathing, and slept well, her health improved dramatically. She said, "I never knew reducing stress could make me this healthy." 3. Smoking and alcohol, partners in disease. Smoking directly linked to lung cancer, heart disease, stroke. Alcohol raises risks for liver, pancreatic, colon cancers, and high blood pressure. Quitting smoking and limiting alcohol are among the best life-extending decisions. 4. Homeowners. 4. Sleep, the silent guardian. Sleeping under 6 hours nightly raises risks for obesity, diabetes, heart disease. U.S. studies show people sleeping 7-8 hours live longer with fewer heart problems. A shared prevention plan for all three diseases. Dear friend, I know many people feel overwhelmed by health advice. That's why I emphasize start small. 1. Eat healthy. More vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fish. Less sugar, red meat, fried processed foods. Use healthy oils like olive or canola oil. Doubling vegetable intake alone cuts disease risk significantly. 2. Move daily. Walk briskly 30 minutes. Could you just try yoga, swimming, cycling? Garden takes stairs instead of elevators. Exercise lowers blood sugar, boosts immunity, reduces colon cancer risk. 3. Manage weight and waistline. Belly fat strongly links to diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Waistline men, nanasina women, etyma, furitum, toitumers, stress and sleep. Meditate 10-15 minutes daily. Naturally breathe deeply under stress. Yashi sleep 7 to 8 hours nightly. 5. Regular checkups. Shamar test blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure. P1 screen for colon, breast, prostate, lung cancers by age and risk. Early detection saves up to 90% of early-stage cancer patients. I recall a patient, Peter, 70. At 60, he had prediabetes, high blood pressure, stroke risk. Peter changed his life. Quit smoking. Ate vegetables, fish, cut red meat. Ninru walked 5 kilometers every morning. Kishore meditated 15 minutes nightly. 10 years later, he was healthy, no stroke, no cancer, with stable sugar and blood pressure. He told me, Dr. Health isn't complicated. It's about whether we dare to change. Transitional message, dear friend. We now see diet and lifestyle are the shared keys to preventing diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. In the next part, we'll deliver the final call to action so everyone can start today before it's too late. When action matters more than fear. We've come a long way in this video from understanding the tight connection between diabetes, cancer, and heart disease, stroke, to the dangers of each disease, to the role of diet and lifestyle in preventing them. You might feel a bit heavy-hearted because illness is never an easy topic, but I hope that beyond the worry, you also realize something important. Health is not about fate. It's about daily choices. And sometimes those choices are small. A meal with more vegetables. An evening walk instead of hours in front of the TV. A health check scheduled earlier than planned. These small things can change the rest of your life. The story of 3 old friends. I remember 3 patients, 3 old friends, John, Mark, and Peter, living in a small California neighborhood. John had diabetes since 55, but ignored medical advice, ate poorly, and exercised little. At 62, he suffered a severe stroke and lost mobility. Mark was diagnosed with early-stage colon cancer at 60. Thanks to surgery and lifestyle changes, he lived 15 more healthy years and welcomed his first grandchild. Peter never faced serious illness because he maintained healthy eating, walked 30 minutes daily, and got regular checkups. At 70, he was still healthy, driving on vacations with his wife. 3 men, 3 outcomes. But what struck me most, Peter did nothing extraordinary. He simply did small things consistently and started early. Health, the gift we owe ourselves. I once heard a beautiful saying, your body is the only house you must live in for life. Care for it like a precious home. Have you thought about this? We care for work, money, children, but often forget the most precious gift, our health. In the youth, we spend health to earn money. In the old age, we spend money to buy back health. But some things like lost time or a sudden stroke can never be regained. So instead of waiting for tomorrow, why not start today with the smallest things? Start with 1 meal, 1 step, 1 night of sleep. You don't need to change everything in one day. Start with tonight's dinner, add a plate of vegetables, cut a soda. Start tonight, go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Start tomorrow morning, walk 15 or 20 minutes around the block. They sound small, but I promise after a year, you'll see a completely different person in the mirror. I've seen hundreds of patients do it. From high blood sugar to normal, from obesity to a lean, strong body, from stroke risk to a healthier heart than ever. Don't fear illness, fear missing life. I don't want you to fear disease. Fear doesn't make us healthier. The real tragedy isn't illness, it's missing precious moments. Titurinun, missing your child's wedding. Missing your grandchild's laughter. Missing the trips you once dreamed of. A healthy body isn't just to live longer, but to live fully. Share your story. Dear friend, I know everyone has their own story. Some are fighting diabetes. Some survived a mild stroke. Some await biopsy results with worry. Please share your story in the comments. Not just for me to listen and help, but so others going through the same can find comfort and motivation. Because health is not just personal, it's a community story. If you found this video helpful, help me spread this message further. Like this video if you found it useful. Is to share it with family, friends, loved ones. Subscribe so you won't miss future videos on health, nutrition, and lifestyle. Your share could save someone a timely reminder for a friend neglecting their health. A promise from me. I promise to bring you knowledge every week. And it's simple to understand. Dr. R, science-based, perinatal, practical for everyday life. I don't just want to be a doctor talking about disease. I want to be your companion, helping you live healthier, happier, and fuller. A question for you. Before we end, I want to ask, have you delayed a health check you should have done long ago? Is there a meal today where you can add vegetables, cut sugar, serenonites? Do you have 15 minutes tonight to walk or meditate instead of watching TV? Start there. One small change today can transform your tomorrow. A hopeful farewell. Dear friend, while filming this, I thought of countless patients, successful or ordinary, rich or poor. When illness knocks, we're all the same. We just want one more healthy day with loved ones. So if you're watching this, know this, you can start today. It's not too late. Just one small step. We'll walk this journey together one day at a time. Leave your questions or stories in the comments. I'll read and respond to each one. Like and share this video so others can benefit too. Subscribe so we won't miss the next helpful videos on health and life. And remember, they're not a redissurant. Health is not a destination, it's a journey. Begin that journey today.